The Midwest supporting, bruiser loving, positivity spreading, world's most dangerous podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty as he supports and promotes Midwest pro wrestling. Keep on growing with the Midwest Express. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
And greetings and welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us. Oh man, what a week I am having. Having troubles with my laptop. Actually, I don't even know if trouble describes it. It just pretty much just went kaput. It's done. Thankfully, I'm very meticulous about backing stuff up, so I really didn't lose anything, file-wise, but, it obviously is a pain. So I'm now kind of working on a borrowed laptop so I can replace mine, borrowed from my wife, but still, so that, that obviously caused me a big nuisance in my week. It caused things in my normal routines to really be off. But here I am. What else happened this week? We had a little fun online. I put a thing out there asking people to give me a nickname. If you could give me a nickname, what would it be? And there were some interesting ones, but some of them I really liked. And, I think I'm going to start tying them in, to some of the stuff I do, start tying them up in the opening of the show. So here we go. Here's some of the nicknames. From here on out, you can refer to me to any of the following. I will answer to any of them. How about that? Downtown Dave, Delicious Dave, both those from my wrestling past. Maybe we'll talk about those sometime, but, those have a little historical Dave Dynasty value. The Blind Boy of Indiana, also has roots in my wrestling past. Another story I'll tell some point in time. The Mouth of the Midwest. I truly love that one. A little tip of the hat to Jimmy Hart. Mr. Midwest. I like that too. And then of course, helping celebrate, my love of Lucha also. I love Lucha Libre. Vandal Drummond suggested Dinastia Diamante. And, I thought that one sounded pretty cool. There were lots of other fun ones. Won't repeat them all. There were several. Thanks everybody for joining. You can still chime on, go onto my Facebook, see the post, come up with a nickname. Remember, keep it in good fun. I remember, that, I do love, Midwest wrestling. So, tie it into that if you can, and see where it goes. Lots of fun. And also while you're out there in the world, or make sure you touch base with me and contact me if you have any Midwest wrestling. And I'm not just talking just WWE stuff. I'm talking anything, indie shows, whatever it may be, as long as it's Midwest based. The more obscure, the more peculiar, the better. But anything, and I'm not talking even about current stuff that I could easily get by purchasing online or at shows now. I'm talking kind of older stuff that of companies that maybe aren't around anymore, and their stuff's not in circulation and available to buy. Let's do some trading. I'd like to see some of that. Particularly any small independent promotions, in Indiana, but in all the Midwest. But, that's obviously where my love is. So if you've got anything, or if you've got old, programs, flyers, match results, lineup cards, anything like that, from a Midwest based show or promotion, I'm interested. So get a hold of me. And obviously I'd like to have original copies, but if not, I'm okay with just, like Xerox copies or even digital copies of some of those things. A lot of it I just want for informational research purposes. There's no better way to research kind of the history of these things, except through the flyers and the programs and newsletters and stuff. I'm always looking for newsletters. So if you have anything like that, no matter, I know, there's not a lot of eyes on some of the Midwest history and Midwest things. And a lot of it's because there's not a lot of stuff out there. And obviously some of it's hard to come by because we're getting several generations removed from the original, originality of them. But, there's gotta be stuff out there, right? Someone somewhere has got a box full of stuff or whatever else. And I know it takes a little work, to maybe get me copies of that, but help me out here, right? Help me preserve the history of the Midwest wrestling and let me bring a little eyes to the legacy and a little attention and show everybody that, yeah, you had your hot spots, but man, the Midwest has always been pretty solid. Let me help, bring some attention to that and help me out, in my research and, information search. So get a hold of me. Go to davedynasty.com. There's a million ways to get a hold of me. Through any of the social media. You can email me, whatever it may be. Just get a hold of me. We'll make arrangements from there. I'd appreciate any help. Speaking of things of the sort, I, made a kind of a cool purchase, online off of eBay this week of two, wrestling programs, from Indianapolis shows from 1947. These are super cool. I haven't really dug into them deeply. They're just a few pages apiece, and they're in great shape. Both of them have Billy Tom on the cover, of course, legendary in the Indiana wrestling scene, both amateur, and professionally. Was the guy in Indianapolis wrestling for many years. He's on the front of both. But both have some, a few pictures, a few little write-ups, the card for the night. It's a very cool ads for local businesses in Indianapolis. These are great. I might do some scans, put some of this out there for people to see. But, like I said, I've not really dove deep into them and looked at them. I actually just got them, but these are very, very cool. But that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Anything from the past, anything, like I said, particularly to help me in my research. Very, very cool stuff. So, we got a great show today. We will be joined, as always, by referee Manbun and Mance Warner with their segments. Those are coming up here in a bit. But we're going to take a little break now. And when we come back, we'll have an interview with Ring of Honor star and Milwaukee wrestler Beer City Bruiser. So stick around.
1, 2, 3. It's my man bun.
What's good, beautiful people? This is referee Sean O'Brien with another edition of Official's Decision with referee Manbun. Had a big weekend this weekend. 3 huge shows with some pretty awesome crowds. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday all took place at the IWA Arena. And so we're going to go ahead and roll right on into it. That way we can get it all in. On Thursday, IWA Mid-South presented Go Big or Go Home. And it was actually advertised as a fan appreciation night. Fans were able to get a great IWA show at a discounted price. Your referees for the evening were myself and John Gray. We had 7 matchups on the card. Some of the big matches we had on the card. Mance Warner took on the big, bad, mean Calvin Tankman. Mance was looking to get his revenge, of course, for Calvin attacking him the last few weeks like a coward. Mance ended up picking up the W after Calvin made a misstep and hurt his hand. And Mance took advantage and got the win. And that was actually under Memphis Street Fight rules as well. So, of course, Mance, he took advantage of that completely. We also had the Gym Nasty Boys, Timmy Lou Retton and Mike White, up against Pat Monix and Eye Candy Elliott, also known as the Unfortunate Pairing. Of course, the Unfortunate Pairing is the IWA Tag Team Champions, and they were actually putting their titles up on the line against the Gym Nasty Boys. And, of course, the Gym Nasty Boys, they weren't there to play this week. They came ready, and they tried to take those titles right from Pat and Elliott, but unfortunately they just couldn't do it. And Pat and Elliott ended up picking up their titles and taking them home with them and got the W. But Gym Nasty Boys, they put up a hell of a fight. Of course, Gym Nasty Boys is known for their usual antics, but none of those tonight. We also had Sugar Dunkerton up against Nate Webb, 2 guys who are, independent wrestling legends. This matchup was actually ended up being quite hilarious. If you get a chance, check that out. Sugar Dunkerton ended up pulling up the win and continuing his streak. And actually, Suge is over in England right now doing his thing. So shout out to Suge D and safe travels. Ludark, Shaitan, and the amazing Maria went 1-on-1 in a ladies' battle, which ended up getting a little stiff. These 2 ladies actually, Maria is on a win streak at the moment right now, and she actually was defeated by Ludark, and Ludark was able to take some steam going into this Saturday, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Your main event for the evening was Aaron Williams and Anthony Henry going one-on-one for the IWA Mid-South Championship. And this was quite the battle, back and forth, with a lot of hard kicks and punches from both guys. Of course, both guys are known for their martial arts. But Aaron Williams was able to retain his championship and pick up the W. So on Friday, we had Prodigy Pro Wrestling, and they presented King of Pain. Your referees for the evening were myself, Max Recon, and John Gray. There was quite a few matches on the card, so I'm not going to get into all of them. I'm just going to kind of get into key moments that had happened. Of course, the Gymnasty Boys made their debut against the top guys, and they were up to their usual antics, so check that out when you get a chance, because that match was hilarious. We also had Corey Storm actually ended up being attacked by Daniel Eads after he picked up the victory in a 5-man scramble. Daniel Eads, I guess out of jealousy, ended up hitting Corey Storm across the face with some brass knuckles. And if you get a chance, check out on Facebook, on Corey Storm's Facebook. His eye looks terrible. But I have a feeling he's going to end up getting his revenge here pretty soon. And also, too, of course, we had the big matchup on the card, Isaiah and AR Fox going one-on-one. And that was, just what everybody expected and more. Isaiah ended up winning by DQ after Flash Flanagan came out and ended up hitting Isaiah across the back with a kendo stick. Of course, Flash Flanagan is a legend in the area. Many people know of Flash, and no one is really sure why he done this. It's unfortunate that what he did to Isaiah, because he attacked him pretty hard and ended up leaving a lot of bruises across his face and back with the kendo stick. So, and of course, also the main event of the evening, the Night Riders, Alex Colon and Dustin Reyes, went up against the Rejects, Reed Bentley and John Wayne Murdoch, in a TLC match for the GCW titles. And all I can really say about this match, guys, is it basically set the tone for the entire weekend as far as the hardcore goes, because, of course, Saturday was the Guardians of Hardcore event, and that was a hardcore match, if by any means. So check out Prodigy Pro when that show drops. Of course, you can get it on DVD, and you'll also be able to check it out on High Spots. Going into Saturday, IWA presented the Guardians of Hardcore. This show right here was stacked from top to bottom. If you are a deathmatch or a hardcore fan, this is definitely one that I recommend checking out as soon as it drops on Smart Mark Video, because it's stacked from top to bottom with nothing but talent. For instance, the first match of the night was actually a surprise. Eddie Kingston came out and decided that he was going to make an open challenge to anybody. And who accepted the challenge but Nate Webb? So Eddie Kingston and Nate Webb was the first match of the night at Guardians of Hardcore. And then, of course, we went into Brad Cash and Masada after that. And Masada beat the crap out of Brad Cash all over the place. But he kept getting up. He kept fighting. And he stuck it out with Masada, surprisingly. Of course, he got Masada's signature skewers to the forehead, and as well as a cinder block to the back of the head to finish him off for the 1-2-3. There was also a Fans Bring the Weapons match, 3-way tag team between the Young Dragons, a tag team from DTU, Ciclope and Miedo Extremo, two guys who mix the luchador with the deathmatch style. It's an awesome blend, and as well as the returning Rejects, John Wayne Murdoch and Reed Bentley finally returned home to IWA. That's right, folks. It was quite the match, quite the spectacle. They fought all over the place as well, falling off of ladders and the tables and the chairs and everything. Like, it was wild. I actually didn't ref that match, but I was out there watching and to make sure everybody was safe. It got crazy. And then, of course, the main event, which I did referee, the CZW champion, Ricky Shane Page, up against the GCW champion, Nick Gage. Of course, two companies that are beefing up on the East Coast. And these two went one-on-one to war. These two went to war in a House of Horrors match. It was... I can't even think of words to describe it. Let me just describe the ring. There was barbed wire ropes. There was an X across the top with light tubes hanging from them. And there was tables on the outside with light tubes. Ricky Shane Page delivered a tombstone pile driver to the outside to Nick Gage, as well as Nick Gage delivered a suplex to the outside through a table to Ricky Shane Page. It got wild. But Ricky Shane Page was able to pull through, roll up Nick Gage, and get him with the quick 1, 2, 3. However, Nick Gage was kind of sore after the loss and attacked Ricky Shane Page, and then took both belts, spitting on the CZW belt, held them both up, and of course, that picture has gone all across the deathmatch scene. If you look on Facebook, you can find that picture. Of course, it was a crazy night, and that's going to be on Smart Mark Video soon. So what a weekend. I tell you what, guys. On to next week, we have on Thursday, for the first time ever, IWA Mid-South will be live streaming from powerbomb.tv. If you're not a part of powerbomb.tv, it's a independent wrestling streaming service that features all kinds of companies from across the world, and also live streams certain companies. And actually, if you sign up right now, you can get 20 days free by using promo code IWAMS. That's right, folks. If you sign up right now, you can get 20 days free by using code IWAMS. So if you want to check out the show on Thursday and you're not able to make it out, then please use that code and you'll be able to check it out for free from the comfort of your couch. The triple threat the main event for the evening is a triple threat for the World Championship. We have Aaron Williams, the champion, of course, going up against Jake Christ, going up against Mance Warner. So we will see how that matchup goes. And like I said, tune into powerbomb.tv and hopefully you can make it out as well. So, and we might have a show on Saturday. I'm not sure yet. It hasn't been announced as of this recording. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Dave Dynasty. Follow me on Facebook at Sean Patrick O'Brien, on Twitter and Instagram at official SPO502. And let me know what you think, guys. Hope to see you soon at the show.
You've heard him here on the Dave Dynasty Show as a guest and as host of the monthly Graham's Gallery episodes. And now you can hear his stories. You can own a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler, the audio book from Dr. Jerry Graham Jr., former multi-tag team champion in WWA and owner of Bruiser Bedlam. You can hear all of his encounters with the various wrestlers, places, and promotions he's worked as he tells about his colorful, long, and illustrious career. You can have your own copy for only $25, and that includes shipping and handling. It's very simple. Go on Facebook, look up Jerry Jaffe, Jaffe, send him a private message, and make arrangements to purchase a copy of Confessions of a Big Time Wrestler now. You will not regret this purchase.
Welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your co-host, Ike Isaacs, and today I am joined by none other than the Beer City Bruiser. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing perfect. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. First question, as always. Where are you from, my man?
I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I actually live in a little town outside of Milwaukee, but it's easier to say Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
No, I understand. That's very awesome, though. So Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's a pretty interesting place. I think I've been there once or twice. But so with Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is that where you also grew up? Is that the same area?
Yep. Born around here, raised. Went to high school and college around here.
Okay.
So been a Milwaukee person my whole life.
Very awesome. So then with Milwaukee, of course, we always like to ask people when you were growing up, what was your childhood like growing up in Milwaukee? Did you play any sports?
Yeah, I was a football. I played a lot of football, played some baseball. I went to high school, played high school football, and then I actually went to college with a grant and played some college football. But my freshman year, I was one of 13. No, one of six freshmen to start on my college team, and I played offensive tackle. And then I ended up breaking my wrist, which ended my college football career. But actually, because I broke my wrist, I was able to get into professional wrestling and start training.
Absolutely. So then, definitely that's actually a really interesting transition from, college football to professional wrestling. But before all that, did you grow up with wrestling? Was that something that was prevalent in your childhood, or was that something you kind of found later on?
No, I've been a fan of wrestling since I was 7. I was obsessed with Bruiser Brody, so I do everything I could to try and find his matches and whatnot, and that's how I found out about like the tape trading and whatnot. So through my grade school and high school years, I did a lot of tape trading. I found Japanese wrestling because I wanted to see Bruiser Brody any chance I could, and of course he made his name in Japan. But growing up, yeah, wrestling was a big part of my life. What was funny was my mom actually banned me from watching wrestling when I was a little kid because my brother and we were watching Saturday Night Main Event. We were just goofing off, and he ended up putting his elbow through the wall just on accident. So my mom banned it. So what I'd do is when I went to go pick up my comic books from a local store, I'd also buy wrestling magazines, and I'd stick them inside my comic books. And that way she wouldn't know I was sneaking around, checking out all the wrestling magazines. And then I'd sneak watching wrestling and stuff like that. And anytime like pay-per-views were on, my friends would record them so I could watch it with them.
So that's interesting because then that love of wrestling kind of grew a little secretly, but it still grew. That's hilarious. That's how my household was too, though. Me and my brothers, we'd get a little rough, and my parents would be like, "Yeah, no more wrestling." Even though my dad was a professional wrestler,
Right.
But so then, when did you know wrestling was something that you wanted to do, something that you wanted to pursue rather than just watch?
Actually, it was watching Undertaker and Mick Foley at Hell in a Cell. We were at my buddy's house and we were watching the pay-per-view, and Foley went off the cage. And I remember thinking, man, this guy, if he lives through this is awesome. Like, this is something that I want to do. And, that's when I got the itch, like, okay, I want to do this. But there was, it's like, well, how do you get into wrestling? I don't know. And then, you fast forward a couple years, and I actually had a buddy that used to come over, and he's always like, hey, you guys are always in the yard, wrestling each other, hitting each other with stuff. Like, have you ever thought about being a professional wrestler? I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. And he goes, well, my neighbor's a professional wrestler. Let me introduce you to him. And that's kind of how I got all into wrestling then. But it became like a dream. Like, it was always a dream, like, hey, that'd be really cool to do. And then I just remember Foley going off the cage at Hell in a Cell, and I was like, hey, man, I really want to pursue this.
Absolutely. And that's actually an interesting it's an interesting, hey, it just kind of clicked moment, because it's like, oh, this guy just fell off the top of a cage, but it's like an iconic moment too, though. So I definitely, that's actually a really incredible moment to see, and then be like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, what made me like want it was like, you know, he goes off the top of the table, he comes back, then he goes through it again, and then they go on for another 10 minutes after that. And I just remember thinking at the end of it, like, man, this guy's giving his all, you know, like, I used to give my all to football, but now I can't play football. Like, what if I gave my all to wrestling? I wonder what would happen, you know?
What would happen indeed, and as we can see now, it transpired to something pretty cool.
Yes, it has.
That what if moment turned into a pretty awesome what if life, right?
Definitely. I'm not complaining at all.
Right. So then, you know, from that moment, you're like, yeah, I want to wrestle. Then you kind of get into, you know, training and such. And if I'm not mistaken, you were trained by Harley Race, is that right?
I broke in with a guy named Trevor Adonis first, and I trained for a couple years in Milwaukee with him. And then after about 3 years, I moved to Harley's. And then I trained with Harley at full-time at his school down there for about another 3 or 4 years. So I credit both Trevor and Harley as my trainers.
Absolutely. So then, you know, starting out with Trevor and then kind of, you know, migrating to Harley, what was that like? What was it like having a transition from one trainer to another, but also just training in general?
It was amazing. I look at it as I went to grade school and high school with Trevor, and I went to college with Harley. You know, Trevor showed me the basics, you know, and got my foot in the door and stuff like that. And then after a couple of years, he's actually the one. I went to him and said, hey, I have this opportunity, you know, to move to Missouri and train with Harley. And he said, I'd be stupid if I didn't. He's like, you're at that point now where you need that extra little bit. So moving to Harley's was just a whole new experience because they got the school down there. So, you know, you're training, you know, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. But on top of that, I'd go into the school every morning around 10:30 when Harley would get there. And I would spend the whole day with Harley just talking to him about the business, just asking him different questions. We'd watch matches together, and he'd either, you know, if we were watching his matches, he'd share the stories with it. Or if we were watching some of mine, you know, he'd critique them and say, well, this is what you should switch and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it was amazing just to sit and spend time with him and learn that aspect of wrestling. You know, like there's the physical part, but there's also that mental part. And I got both from Harley, and I truly loved the training down there.
No, absolutely. And, you know, and of course Harley Race is, you know, he's a legend. I mean, to say it simply. And I mean that there's not a whole lot that you can teach somebody, you know, that I guess he wouldn't be able to do, right? I mean, he's legitimately a legend. He's done so much. So he's literally done it all. Like you name it, Harley's done it. And that's absolutely incredible. So then, obviously, I'm sure you probably had a match before you went to Harley. But what was your very first match that you ever had? Do you know?
Yeah, my very first match was actually at a little bar out here in Wisconsin called Hog Alley. It was an outdoor show, and what Hog Alley is a big like Harley bar. Because Harley Davidson's real big here in Milwaukee, so like we have a lot of bars like that. And this is basically a biker bar. And a new owner had taken over, and he was trying to change the image from biker bar to just, you know, anybody that has a motorcycle come hang out. So he'd put on this Hog Fest, and he'd have wrestling every year. In my first match, I wrestled a guy named Mike Medallion, and I remember clearly the finish of the match was a DDT. So he gave me the DDT, and he pins me, and I'm selling, and I'm walking away, and I looked over at my mom, who was watching. She was crying, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, I must have done my job. Like, she thinks I broke my neck. All right. And, I had everybody there. And then for years on end, all the way up until about 2 years ago, I'd make sure that I'd always go back to Hogfest because they had wrestling up till about 2 years ago. So they had a good 15 years, I think, of wrestling at this bar. And I'd go every year, and that was kind of like my anniversary. You know, and I always make sure my mom was there, my parents were there, my wife and kids went. I mean, it was like a kind of a big deal.
No, absolutely. That's pretty incredible too. That you still kind of revisited that same place, but you know that's where you started. But that's actually really awesome. I'll have to look that up sometime.
What's actually really funny is my son now works as a dishwasher at that bar. Oh, so yeah, so he goes in and he'll see, and they got pictures of me throughout the years because I basically broke in, and the owner there, Stoley's always been a big supporter of mine. So every time I get a new promo picture, it goes in there. So they got kind of like a timeline of me, and my son always gets a kick out of it because people, hey, that looks like your dad. He's like, yeah, it is.
That's hilarious though. It's like it came full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
So then that's actually a really incredible first match story. I don't think I've ever heard something like that momentous and something so repeated. So that's actually really cool. But additionally, though, when you had your first match, what was the name that you worked under?
I used to wrestle as Dinty Moore. The way it came about was when we were trying to think of a gimmick, somebody had suggested I be a lumberjack because I'm from Wisconsin, and I guess there's a lot of lumberjacks. Now, mind you, I'm from Wisconsin, and I don't think I've ever met a lumberjack, but so then we were sitting around, we're trying to think of, like, what do lumberjacks eat? Like, what's something they eat? And a bunch of names got tossed around. We settled on Dinty Moore, like the beef stew.
Yeah.
So that was actually my first gimmick, was I was Dinty Moore, and I actually did that for like 10 years. And then when I moved back from Missouri, I was like, I want to kind of be taken a little more seriously, so I went by my real name, and then I changed it to the Beer City Bruiser.
See, it's funny. I actually think I have a Dinty Moore beef stew in my closet right now. So I looked at that and I was like, it can't be the same thing. There's no way. And
yeah,
it was. So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, like I don't know how I think it's because like there's like flannel on the can or something like that, and I wore a flannel. I don't know. It was weird. We just all thought, hey, lumberjacks eat Dinty Moore stew. So.
That's hilarious. But, okay. So then, like you said, you moved on to being the Beer City Bruiser. Well, first, of course, you had your real name, and then Beer City Bruiser. But how did the name of the Beer City Bruiser come up? Because, personally, I've seen you wrestle as the Beer City Bruiser, in Ring of Honor. That's what I've seen. So, but how did that come about?
When I got back from Harley's, like I said, I was wrestling under my real name. I was trying to make that transition. And I was actually pretty successful, moving back. Because I had just gotten all the stuff and had the aura of Harley's trainee and whatnot. So a guy that was kind of floundering underneath on a couple undercards walked up and he goes, hey, man, like, we should start tagging together. I'm not having any fun. Like, you're in all the main events, just working at anybody. I'm not really working at anybody. What if we start tagging with each other and, like, you kind of show me the ropes and we'll see what we can do? I was like, all right. So we started tagging, and we had real good chemistry and stuff like that. And we're like, well, we need a tag team name because, like, all great tag teams have a tag team name. And he says, well, why don't we just be us? And I says, well, man, all we really do is drink beer and fight. Like, 'cause at the time we were getting a lot of bar fights. So that's all we really do. He says, yeah, that's it. Perfect. So we decided, well, hey, we're from Milwaukee, which is the Brew City. But we don't want to be labeled as, there was already a roller derby team called that. So we came up with Beer City. And then, of course, I'm a big Bruiser Brody fan. So we added Bruiser at the end of it. And we were called for a while the Beer City Bruisers. Well, we move on and he retired and stuff like that. And I just kind of kept the name. And then when I did the Ring of Honor tryout camp, I was working as the Beer City Bruiser with my real name. And they're like, hey, drop your real name. You're a great throwback gimmick. Drop the real name and just keep Beer City Bruiser. And I did, and it's worked ever since.
Wow. So, I mean, that's actually a really cool progression. So then you kind of mentioned, the next question I was going to say, because the whole Beer City Bruiser gimmick, I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very old school heel type. And I feel like a lot of the people out there nowadays, and obviously no offense to the people who I might be referring to, they're kind of complicated, right? Their characters are complex, their gimmicks are very elaborate. But then you have, yourself and some other entertainment out there that just, they're like, well, look, I'm not trying to be this, a lot of moving parts gimmick. This needs to be a simple heel, and I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
But you also kind of remind me of someone else, and it's kind of a vague resemblance, but the Crusher, a lot of the Crusher, which is an old school, I guess, wrestler that Dave Dynasty actually pointed out to me, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. They do kind of remind me of them. Is this intentional? Do you know who that is, or is that just kind of part of the natural development of your character?
It is intentional.
Okay.
Growing up in Milwaukee, Crusher is from Milwaukee. Back in the day, my dad, my roommate's dad, basically anybody that grew up, when Crusher was around, they'd go into local bars and Crusher would be at the end of the bar drinking beer, and Crusher was at cigar chewing, beer drinking, keg carrying, like just badass from Milwaukee. So growing up, like Crusher was like the guy from Milwaukee. He was, in fact, he was the guy who made Milwaukee famous, is what they called him. And so growing up, like he was always around. And his tag team partner was Dick the Bruiser, and everywhere is Crusher Bruiser, Crusher Bruiser. So when I came up with the new gimmick and stuff, I want to take a little bit from Crusher because he was so part of my childhood and so part of Milwaukee. But I want to put a twist on it and make it my own. So I come to the ring with the keg and a cigar, kind of like in homage to Crusher.
Wow. So that's what I was gonna say. That part of it was kind of what got me, and I was like, okay, I can see where he's coming from, because Dave originally said, and I'm like, okay. But then the more I watched, I was like, oh wow, this is starting to turn into something more. But that's actually really cool. You don't see a lot of that anymore. You don't see a lot of people paying homage to the golden age, as I call it.
Yeah, and see what I like doing is I like taking some of the older stuff and putting a new school twist on it. You know what I mean? Like take the old school and re-image it to make it your own. So like that's what I've been doing, and like I get compared to the Crusher all the time, and like doesn't bother me. In fact, I am truly humbled by it. I find that being just classified with him is a great honor.
Absolutely. But definitely, like you'd mentioned, you're very much your own unique character. So definitely, it's a great collaboration. I think it's amazing. So, anyways,
thank you.
No problem. But so then we kind of mentioned Ring of Honor a little bit. You mentioned being in some of the training camps and such, and getting that name development. But in 2015, you competed in a Ring of Honor Top Prospect tournament. What was it like to start competing in Ring of Honor?
Oh, I loved it. I was very excited. After the tryout camp, they told me, hey, we're going to put you in the Top Prospect tournament. And the thing about the Top Prospect tournament is they keep it, real close to their chest. They don't tell you who you're wrestling. They don't tell you, the brackets or anything like that. They just tell you, hey, leave these dates open. We want you in the Top Prospect. It's okay. So it was really cool. And then getting there, like I've done TV for WWE and TNA and stuff like that, but going to Ring of Honor, you see how different TV is. You're actually treated like a person. When you do WWE and stuff like that, you always feel like you're in the way. At least that's what I felt like when I did my extra work, because I always felt like I was in the way. Like, with Ring of Honor, they make sure you feel at home. They make sure you feel like you're part of the crew and stuff like that. And I wrestled Mikey Webb the first time in Nashville for the first round of the Top Prospect, and it was interesting to find out how to wrestle on the TV style, because I'd been wrestling for so long. I felt like, okay, this is the next step to learn how to do all this. And Steve Carino, actually, who I've been friends with for almost, 15, 16 years now, he actually was a big help because he was doing commentary at the time. He was a big help at getting me used to getting ready to wrestle in front of like TV cameras, not just a live crowd. And then, so when we got to Philadelphia for the second round, I found out I was wrestling Will Ferreira. And what was really cool about that was we were in the ECW arena. And like, I was a big ECW fan growing up. So wrestling in that building was a huge milestone for me. And I was told by a lot of the guys, hey, the Philly crowd will eat you up if they don't like you. Like, they have been known to break people. So I was kind of nervous going out to do that. But then going out there and having the match I had with Will and the reaction I got, it felt really good coming back in the locker room even though I lost, because I felt like I accomplished something,
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I've actually heard that a lot too, the the Philly crowd stories. Talk to some people who are like, yeah, they're pretty brutal.
They are, but I love them. I love the Philly crowd. I love the New York crowd, the Milwaukee crowd, Chicago crowd. Yeah, like the Philly crowd lets you know if they like you or not. Like, that's for sure.
Hey, that's great. That's good though. Immediate feedback. That's what I like to call it. Immediate feedback.
Yes.
So then, kind of a next step on the conversation. One of the people that we've seen you appear with, someone that you actually team with, is Silas Young. So when did you first meet Silas Young?
I actually knew Silas when I first started. He trained about 2 hours north of me up in Green Bay. And so going through the indies and stuff like that, Silas and I were always on the same cards. Our careers are, crossed paths numerous times. We had never really tagged with each other. I think we tagged one time when we were both real rookies in the business, and then never tagged after that. And we did a show in Minnesota. It was Hopkins, Minnesota for Ring of Honor, and the booker came up to us and says, "Hey, you two are going to tag tonight against War Machine. We're just going to give it a try. In our heads, we don't see why the last real man wouldn't be friends with Beer City Bruiser. Like, it's a natural fit. Like, and you guys are going to travel together. You guys know each other, so we're going to give this a try." We're like, okay. So we went out and had the match with War Machine, and, like, it was that type of match where charisma, you could feel the charisma. You could feel the connection, And since that day, they put Silas and I together, and we've gone on to do amazing things. And I love it. I love traveling with Silas. I love tagging with Silas. I love when he manages me or I manage him. We're always talking about the business together. Even though we're from the same area, we still have different views on certain things. You know what I mean? So I love talking to him about it, and it just opens up my eyes to whole new things, and it keeps the business fresh, and I love that.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree. I mean, you guys have like a very crazy natural chemistry. And I think, like you said, it's like, why wouldn't the last real man not be friends with the Beer City Bruiser?
Right. And it's been a great ride. Him winning the TV championship, I mean, that guy deserves it,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him wrestle before, and he's a pretty cool guy. But like you said, I mean, it's a hell of a thing. I mean, it's crazy to hear that was just like let's just try this out type deal, but then it works so well too, which is really, really awesome. But
yeah, and sometimes, you know what, and that's wrestling. Sometimes things you plan and all that, and you try to force down, like, don't work. And then there's things where you're like, let's just give it a try. And like lightning strikes, and like I always tell people when they put Silas and I together, and we had the perfect opponents with War Machine, it was like lightning struck. You know what I mean? And I'm glad it got me my job. So
right. Oh man, but so then, with everything kind of taken into consideration, one of the things we like to ask people, especially people who are very prevalent in the independent scene right now, is independent wrestling is really, really, really incredibly just amazing and just on fire. Okay, and I mean, in your opinion though, what is the best and the worst part about being a part of independent wrestling?
The best part about independent wrestling is the up closeness you get with your fans. When we're on TV with Ring of Honor and stuff, it's fly into the town, go do setup, go to the building, see what you're doing, do the TV tapings or the house show, get back in a car, go to a hotel, do it all the next day. You don't really have time to like interact with fans. Like you get like the fans at the airport sign autographs and stuff. You don't really get the interaction. Where with the independent shows, you can set up your merch and stuff like that and sit at the merch table and actually sit and talk to the fans, and the fans are the reason I have a job. It's the fans that pay my bills, essentially. Them coming to buy tickets and coming to watch the wrestling and buying my pictures and the T-shirts and all that. Like, I like sitting and interacting with them and talking to them and kind of saying thank you. Hey, like you're here. You're spending your Friday or Saturday night with essentially me and my friend. That about independent wrestling, how close you can get to some of the fans. On the flip side, the bad stuff I don't like is sometimes these independent shows, man, they go too long. Like we have TV tapings that have been shorter than some of the independent matches I've been on. It's just like 13 matches. You're there from 6 p.m. till midnight. Like, you don't need to go that long. Like it's crazy. It's just insane.
You're just like, this is not the WWE. Come on.
Yeah.
This is not WrestleMania. We don't need 18 matches.
Exactly. And like I said, like I've been on TV tapings that are shorter than some of the indie shows I've been on.
Good Lord. Yeah, that's funny, though. I think that's something I never really thought about, but, now that I think about it, there have been some wrestling shows where I've gone to where I'm like, is this over yet? Like, I'm hungry. I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? But no, that's actually a really good point. I've never thought about that.
And like some of the indie matches, like the indie stuff that's kind of long, they do put on good shows. Like, don't get me wrong, but if I'm on the 12th match and I gotta go out there and the crowd's tired, you know what I mean? It's just, man, like I don't know. I believe in 6 matches, get in, get out, 2 hours, have a good time.
Right, that's right. You're just like, hey, short, simple, sweet, to the point. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, of course, kind of rein back into kind of, what you've done in the independent wrestling scene is, you've appeared over some of the top promotions out there. We could probably go on for a while, the different promotions, different states, all this other stuff. But what is your top highlight of your career so far?
So far is signing my contract with Ring of Honor. I've been working so hard, in wrestling just to get looked by somebody, and to have wrestling be my job, and you always hear about it. Guys are indie wrestlers, and then Monday morning they gotta go to Kinko's and clock in for their 9-to-5 job. And I've always wanted to have it where I support my family, and pay my bills just wrestling. And when I signed my Ring of Honor contract, I was able to do that, and I was very happy, to say that right now wrestling is my job, between Ring of Honor and then I train at a wrestling school here in Milwaukee called the Thumper's Den. That's all I do is wrestling, and that's just been a huge proud moment of mine.
No, absolutely. I think that's like, obviously, I think it's anybody in the wrestling business's goal, but it's a goal that's achieved by a very small few, and I think it says a lot that you've achieved that, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Yes.
And like I said, the rare few that do, usually they're the guys that are, in WWE or I guess TNA. No offense to TNA, but or Impact now, but they're getting better, but. Yeah, I'll leave that to the side. But anyways, people who are like in TNA, WWE, but then Ring of Honor is one of those ones that has come so far forward that it's incredible to hear that you can now be a professional wrestler, that being your job, with an incredible promotion like Ring of Honor. That is awesome.
Yeah, and Ring of Honor is only getting bigger. Exactly. There's other highlights of my career, is just wrestling at the Hammerstein Ballroom in front of a sold-out crowd, you know what I mean? Wrestling at Ring of Honor's biggest show of the year, which was Supercard of Honor in Florida, having a match, Silas Knight versus the Kingdom. And, I'm so proud to be a part of Ring of Honor now where it's growing instead of, you always hear people, they join a company when it's already big and all that. And I like being a part of that original crew that's helping this company grow and become bigger. And I love when they have meetings with us and they tell us, hey, we grew this much more. We're trying to get this seat venue and we're selling out this many seats and we're doing all this. That's a huge, huge compliment to not only myself, but the whole roster and all the production guys and the office and all that,
Yeah, absolutely. And I one of the things I always tell people is, it's like, yeah, WWE's great and all, but I don't think you've ever really seen wrestling until you've seen the best of the best at an independent show or the best of the best at something like Ring of Honor. I'm 100% a proponent of, that's going to be probably one of the biggest things is Ring of Honor. And I think, like you said, it's growing bigger and bigger. And one of these days, I'm calling it. They're going to have a primetime spot on TV, and it's going to be right up there with WWE. That's my hope.
Yeah, hopefully that works. We're on the right track,
Absolutely.
Our ratings are going up. They're putting us on more stations. Our bookings are going up. So I always tell people, you want to see the best wrestling on the planet, go see Ring of Honor. And I don't just say it because I'm an employee there. I say it because it's true. my wife gets kind of biased now with indie shows because she's been to a couple of the Ring of Honor shows with me. You know what I mean? And she still compares some of the indies with the Ring of Honor. I tell her you can't do that. Like, an indie's an indie. Ring of Honor is just huge. You know, like, so it's kind of funny sometimes when she travels with me and sees these indie shows. She'll look at me and like, why are you here? You know, it's like, gotta make money.
Right? That's right. That's right. So, you know, as we kind of wind down, another thing we always like to ask people, because, I mean, we hear all about your wrestling career. We hear all about things that you do in wrestling. One thing we always like to do is try to get you a little bit more personally. So what is one thing that most fans don't know about the Beer City Bruiser?
I'm a big paranormal freak. Like, I love paranormal and cryptozoic stuff. You know, like ghosts and Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a big fan of that. Where you know, I love ghost hunting and I love reading about it and YouTubing the videos and watching it on TV and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't know that about me, but I'm a huge fan of that type of stuff, and not necessarily conspiracy theory stuff, but you know, the Bigfoots and the ghosts and stuff like that. And I love it. I think it's great. I love looking for it. I watch those cheesy shows, the Finding Bigfoots and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I'm hooked.
No, absolutely. Hey, I'm 100% convinced that, you know, Bigfoot or the Yeti, one of them has to exist, man. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think it's almost crazy to think that something like that might not exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
I'm all into that too. Aliens, the cryptozoology, you know, like all the crazy urban legends, like, oh, you know, the Jersey Devil, or, you know, stuff like that. I love that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm like I said, I'm a huge fan of that stuff, and I'm always. It's fun when we go to these different towns I go to, because I always try to find out what the local lore is. You know what I mean? And just, oh, cool. Like, you know, being in Jersey and, oh, the Jersey Devil happened here. Like, cool. If I get some time, like, I'd love to go see that stuff. You know, we were in Oklahoma City a while ago, and Oklahoma's a big spot for Bigfoots and stuff. So I was trying to figure out how to sit in on like a Bigfoot watch. We didn't have the time to do it because we're traveling so much, but like, you know, I always put the little notes and stuff like, oh, cool, I'm at this town, so let's see what the local lore is, you know?
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's actually a really cool thing to do, too, is because you travel so much, there's a lot of information to be gathered.
Yeah, exactly.
So, additionally, you know, another one of the questions we like to ask, another kind of winding down question is, you know, we're in 2018, it's January 15th, so we're just, you know, we're barely over the precipice of, you know, 2017 at this point. So with so much time ahead of you, what are your goals for 2018?
I want to wrestle in Japan. That's a big one. Like I said, I've said before, you know, Bruiser Brody's always been my influence, and he made his name in Japan. So number one on my list of 2018 is to go wrestle in Japan. I think the Beer City Bruiser character would be real good over there. I love the history and the nature and the style and all that of Japan, and I really want to go over there and see what I could do. So that's number one. Number two, I want to wrestle somewhere in like England or Scotland, somewhere in the United Kingdom. You know, somewhere just over in Europe. Like, I want to continue to wrestle here in America doing what I do, but I think overseas is my next step.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people do. I think that a lot of people miss out on doing is that it's like, oh yeah, that, you know, the United States is awesome, let's just stay here. But I'm one of those people where I'm like, you know, if I was going to make a next step in growth, I would go to Japan, because you think of all the amazing people that came from Japan, all the amazing wrestlers that went to Japan and were really big. You know, it's like a no-brainer, I think, but that's an amazing next step.
Yeah, and like what Ring of Honor's got that relationship with New Japan right now. Like, yeah. I just now's the time, I think, you know, and that's my goal.
No, absolutely, and we will be absolutely looking forward to seeing you in Japan. So everybody, keep your eye out. So, last question for you as we kind of wind it down: social media. Where can fans follow you, and where can fans hopefully see your plans to go to Japan?
If they go to my Facebook, it's the Beer City Bruiser on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm at BCB Winchester. Pro Wrestling Tees, you can find me at prowrestlingtees.com/ Beer City Bruiser. Instagram, I'm Beer City Bruiser. And then if you go on Ring of Honor Wrestling, which is rohwrestling.com, you can see the schedules and stuff when they're there. Plus, click over to the shop and buy a Beer City Brew koozie. Help me out.
There you go. So you guys know where it's all at. You know where to get him on social media. You know where to buy his merch. So check it out. Check him out on wrestling. Watch Ring of Honor.
Come crack open a cold one and let Old Manser tell you a story.
King of Big Dog Style, Laird's and Light Beer, the king of the trailer court, your favorite wrestler of mine, me.
This is Warner's Wisdom with Mance Warner.
All right, people, here we go. Old Master back on here. Got me a light beer. Go do a little talking. Go do a little promoting right here on another edition of Old Warner's Wisdom, baby. So, dramatic pause. Dramatic pause. Dramatic pause. See, Old Master forgets I'm doing a podcast here. Each time Old Master said dramatic pause, I took me a swig of my light beer, did another dramatic pause, took another swig, and I kept on going. Okay, here we go. Old Master, King of Big Dog Style, Laird's and Light Beer, Mr. Knee Pad Up, Knee Pad Down, King of the Trailer Court, dramatic pause, Laird's and Light Beer, Big Doggy, King of Big Doggy Cool, Wackadoo. Y'all know the whole deal. I ain't gonna read 15,000 names on here tonight. Okay, here's the deal. We back on the Dave Dynasty Show. The best part of the Dave Dynasty Show, Old Master's part, baby. I'll get on here, drink my light beers, do a little promoting, do a little talking. You know the whole deal. Okay, here we go. So, on this episode of Warner Wisdom, Old Master gonna do a little, it's not so much wisdom as it is just, okay, it's wisdom. This coming Thursday night, Old Master, we got IWA, Memphis, Indiana, the Memphis Flea Market. IWA is going live. That's live on Powerbomb TV, baby. It's a live stream. First time for IWA Mid-South. We are IWA. Live event, live stream, Powerbomb TV. People, Old Master don't lie to you. If I say it's going to be crazy, if I say it's going to be bloody, if I say it's going to just moments, baby. It's all about making moments. Moments and memories, y'all. Here's the deal. Powerbomb TV. Everyone knows the deal. You get on there. You get I think you get 20 free days on there. You put in IWA Mid-South. You put your tag on there. Whatever promotion it is that you put on there, you get free viewing everything they got on there. You go in there and search Old Master on YouTube, doing a pitch for Powerbomb TV. Y'all get on there and watch that. But here's the deal. I'm going to give you a rundown of the card. Powerbomb TV, live event, Old Master, main event. Jake Christ, the baddest man on the planet, Aaron William, the current IWA Mid-South champion, Aaron William, and Old Master, total elimination, three-way dance, baby. That means everybody got to get eliminated. One guy walking out with that title live on Powerbomb TV. We also got the tag team titles on the line. The Rejects getting a title shot, baby. They coming back. Reed and Murdoch, they stepping in there trying to get the gold back. Calvin Tateman got a mystery opponent that night. Oh, Uncle Ian said it's going to be somebody going to come out there and beat the shit out of Calvin Tateman. All the crowd hates Calvin Tateman. I hate Calvin Tateman. I damn near bit off Calvin Tateman's finger a couple weeks ago. We got a top-paid death match, baby. That means J.C. Rotten and Amazing Maria gonna wrap them hands up in a little bit of glue. Then they gonna dip it in broken beer bottles, baby. They gonna get glass all over their hands. They gonna go out there and beat the shit out of each other. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna blow your mind. I'm telling you. I don't go out here. I don't talk no bullshit. Old man go out here and just tell the truth. Powerbomb TV. Sign up now. Watch it this Thursday live on the app. Get on there. It's going to be insane. Hell, and I'm telling them, my cat's running around here getting wild. She's staring at me. She trying to get TV time, some podcast time on here. Now, here's the deal. Old Master going to be putting out the posters. I'm going to be putting out promos. I'm going to be putting out pictures. I'm going to be putting out everything all week long promoting this event, y'all. the wisdom that old master is giving y'all. Right here on this day, on this night, as I talk to you through the old podcast, as I drink these light beers, I get harassed by my cat Helen over here. Helen Wahoo. The wisdom that y'all take away at this very moment. Take it away now. Powerbomb TV. Go get that right now. Sign up on Thursday night. If you can't be there live, you can be there live on watching on the TV. I don't know much about electronics, but you get on there and you watch it somehow on the computer, on the TV, on the PlayStation, the Xbox, whatever on the I don't even know what all y'all use out there. The wisdom, walk away very simple with this. Sign up for this right now. Get them light beers. Sit down. Watch that show. It's going to be insane. It's going to be moment after moment after moment after moment. Dramatic pause, dramatic pause, dramatic pause. It's going to be insane. The whole mess, you're going to get off here. I'm going to get back to my light beers. Y'all tune in on Thursday night. I ain't going to say it again. Listen to old Messer. Take this wisdom. Take this knowledge that, Big Doggy Cool throwing at you. Take it to the bank, y'all. Now, y'all try to have a good week. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. Get on ProWrestlingTees.com. Pick up one of them Old Master t-shirts, baby. Layered to light beer all day, every day. Get them. Don't be a dummy. Nah. Old Master gonna get off here. Y'all have a good week. Ain't gonna be as good as Old Master, but y'all can try. Now, I'm gonna get back to my light beers. Y'all be safe. See you next time.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am Dave Dynasty. Thank you for sticking around. Great interview with Beer City Bruiser. Of course, great contributions from referee Manbun and Mance Warner every week. Thanks to all of them for joining in today on this episode. And let's get some of the plugs out of the way here before we go home. Hopefully you'll stick around and listen to these and support the show. We are bringing this to you free every week, celebrating and supporting Midwest Wrestling past and present. So help support us in our quest to do so. You can visit DaveDynasty.com and find links to all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to us to YouTube. And if everybody could really help us, tell all your friends. Let's try to put a little rush in on this YouTube subscriber, because later this month, later in February, if you don't have X amount of subscribers, we're going to lose our ability to monetize, and we're not quite to that mark yet. So help us do that push. But we have a lot of great stuff on YouTube, so subscribe to us there. And follow us on all of our other social media links. And while you're at DaveDynasty.com, you can also find links to our Amazon.com and HighSpots.com affiliations. And if you click those links and do your shopping at those sites, there's no additional charge to you, but we get a little kickback. We do appreciate it. That support is great. And of course, the best ways to support us, you can go to paypal.me/TheDaveDynasty, and you can make a one-time financial contribution to the show. Help us in our production costs. And help us keep this thing free, and help us in our quest. All that money goes back into the show, equipment, production, the purchasing of research materials, etc. So you can make a one-time contribution there, or you can go to patreon.com/TheDaveDynasty and sign up to make ongoing contributions. As of right now, we don't do a lot of rewards or tier type stuff. There might be some of that. You might get some perks if you're a regular contributor, but go there. You make a regular monthly contribution. Anything helps, and we certainly appreciate it. And then, of course, you can click the links and go to ProWrestlingTees.com, in our store, and visit our store, and buy our shirts. That's a great way to support us. And then you're getting something in return there, obviously. Some new shirt designs will be going up soon, so make sure you visit that. All those things are available at DaveDynasty.com, including links to all of our podcast episodes, past and present. But make sure you do follow our social media links, all of them, and subscribe to us and follow, etc., because we're always posting materials up there. A lot of good stuff going up, a lot of good discussions, and a lot of activity within the Midwest Express community. That's what we do. That's what we love. And we appreciate you participating. So we're going to get out of here. And until next time, this is Dave Dynasty. This has been the Dave Dynasty Show. And while you're out there, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.